Okay, we are live. We are live. Here.
Back at it again. Back at it
Let our
again.
audience come through. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the village. Welcome to the village.
What's going on, villagers? It's good
Okay.
to be back. Another week. Another week passed, and we're back at it again. So
I
hope
know.
everybody's having a
It goes by so fast.
yeah. It does. It does. Hope everybody had a good week. Today is Thursday, so we are back at it. Me and my co-host Takina.
Yes. And we'll have Land Streets coming in soon. So just stay tuned. Tonight, we're talking about very important topic. I'm not sure how you all are following the things that's going on in the news with politics these days. I hope everybody, at this point is learning to become more astute, become more knowledgeable what's going on in our politics in America. Because we need to know as citizens what is happening in our government, what's happening in our politics, and how they affect us. So tonight we chose to talk about the new executive order that President Biden just signed on racial equality. We're going to touch on a few things about systematic racism tonight. We hope the topics that we bring to you stimulate you, excite you. Let us know what you feel about it. In the chat box, let us know. Give us your name to say hello. Okay, we're looking forward to you. I'll let you start off tonight. B, we're talking about the executive order, and what you heard about it, and how you think it's going to impact our Black and brown communities, people of color. Do you think it's actually going to affect us in a positive way? Are you thinking in the long run? Because I know it takes a while for these orders to take place and to set in motion to create the president that is set out for. But do you think the new executive order that he set in place for us right now will be something that will be valuable to us? Before you start that, let me explain to you for all those who don't know what executive order is. It's a declaration that the president of the United States can sign without having the approval of Congress. And usually when things sent up, they either go to the House first and then the Senate to decide whether it will be voted on and set into law for the American people. With the executive order, that doesn't take place. The president actually has the approval to go ahead and make it happen and get it done. So he's from my understanding, he's up to 30 now that he's done so far. I'm going to talk about a few tonight: racial equality and, like I said, systematic racism. But it's one of the things that he put into place to help out us as minorities. So, turn it over to you, D.
Yeah, absolutely. So the executive order being in place. My thoughts on it are definitely it's one thing that I think that I definitely want to commend him on jumping into office and immediately jumping on this. You know what I mean? I mean immediately. He's been in office. What maybe has it been? What is it? Maybe a week? It's been a week, and
It's been eight
he
days.
literally
8 days.
8 days. 8 days.
Yeah, it's been
So
eight.
a little bit over a week, and he jumped right on it. You know what I mean? So I definitely want to commend him and the administration on that. Do I think it'll help us? Uh, that's to be seen. I definitely would like it to,
Yeah.
and depending on how everything is brought out and rolled out will depend on what they have set in place to do and what benefits that we'll be able to see from it. But I definitely think it's a step in the right direction to be able to solve this racial
Mhm.
inequality issue that we're dealing with. So it really just depends on the administration. I look forward to seeing what exactly they plan on doing as far as fighting it. But yeah, definitely it's a step in the right direction. I think it will
Mhm.
affect us in a positive light. How you feel about it?
Okay, well that's awesome. Well, let us know out there in the village, what you feel about it. The executive order is exactly the one he did for racial equality. It calls for the government to pursue a comprehensive plan to advance equality, civil rights, racial justice, and equal opportunities. Now, the goal is to create a system of fair and impartial treatment to those who have been underserved, including the Black, Latino, and Indigenous and Native American people. He included the Asian Americans, which was awesome, the Pacific Islanders, and other people of color, the members of different religions, minorities, lesbian, gays, bisexual, and transgender group was included in that. People with disabilities, people who live in rural areas and have less resources, they're more prone to poverty and inequality. That's exactly what the Racial Equality Act that he passed was for. And I do think if it's going to take more than just, I guess, an act put on paper, I would say, to make a change in our government as well as in our families and our communities. I do think that it's an amazing stepping stone for us as a community.
Mhm.
I do think that it allows us as individual people to have something to stand on, and have some that is seated for us to be able to start a process. But I do think that although he put the Racial Equality Act in place, I think that's going to start a little bit more within our communities, within our families, within our households, with us being honest what's happening and finding a different, more positive and productive way to combat racial equality. I believe so. But I'm actually excited about it.
Mhm.
It's something that is needed in this country right now. Definitely something
Yeah,
that is needed in this
absolutely.
country. So, like I say, in the middle,
Absolutely.
let us know how you feel about it. Put in the comments. Let us know.
Yeah, definitely jump
Go
in
ahead,
on
B. What were
those
you saying?
comments. Yeah, I was just letting everybody, letting all the villagers know, definitely jump in on those comments. And yeah, I completely agree. And I'm like you as well. I'm really excited about it. And like I said, I want to commend him and the administration on, immediately jumping on it. You know what I mean? Like I said, we a little over a week, and he already, you know, jumped on it. So that's definitely one thing that I was excited about, and I think it'll push us in the right direction. But as a community, we definitely have the obligation to do it for ourselves. You know what I mean? Like for us to build from within our community to help uplift our community. But this gives us an added, boost to help us be able to do that. And anytime you have that, it definitely helps out. But ultimately, it's on us within our community to be able to do it. But definitely, we need this boost. We need this push, and for him to be able to just jump in and do that and get the ball rolling is a step in the right direction.
Exactly, exactly. And one thing I think this election, well, I would say I think maybe the last three elections, but specifically this particular election, what it did was it pushed me to learn way more about my political system, to learn way more about what's going on in the economic system in America. Not saying I didn't have somewhat knowledge, but I think I had the same amount of knowledge that we all have. We watch the news, and we read a paper here and there. We follow things and we understand, but we don't allow ourselves to get educated on what's going on in our political and government the way that we need to. And I am very excited that we took a stance as African Americans and people of color to vote this election. Everybody had their own personal reasons why they voted, but everybody saw the same common understanding, and that was a need for the change of what's going on in our government for people of color. And by we having a president at this particular time that is interested, seems to be interested in making a change for people of color. I think this is an opportunity that we need to take, and we need to grab it. We need to hold it. We need to squeeze it, and we need to make sure that we are putting things in place that will make a difference for people of color in the long run, not just right now. Because in another 4 years we'll be facing the same situation again. We'll be voting again, and if we don't take the time to put things in place that are solid, that are rooted and that are grounded for African American people, then we will run the risk of repeating this same process again in 4 years with a president that may not be as astute, to changing and making changes for people of color. So I think, right now America needs to really grab hold of what's going on in politics and what's going on in economics, and we need to have more people of color, taking these seats that are available in our political, arenas to make sure that we represent and that America looks like what America looks like, and that's a diversity of many people, of many colors, of many nationalities, and that's what America is needs to represent in politics as well. If it's going to be a fair playing field, that's just how I feel. And I think this is a good opportunity. I don't know how far it will go, but I do think that people of color need to grab it. We need to, make sure that we are astute on what's going on. We're knowledgeable what's going on, and we set our place in history what's going on, and we write history to fit us too, and not just have us thrown in there here and there. We are a part of America, and we need to make sure that we look like we're a part of America. That's what I feel.
So,
I'm
hey,
talking.
no, that's what we're here for. And we had a comment come in. We had a question come in from looks like it's my real name, and they asked any concerns that
Okay.
the executive order will not be enough to make systemic changes. Executive orders not signed into law can be overturned by the next administration. Wow, that's a good question. Appreciate your feedback on that too.
Exactly, and that's exactly. Yes, thank you for that. Is my real name, and that's exactly the point. That I'm making. That at this time we have someone that's in place that's willing to set a stage for us. However, in 4 years he will be gone, and if these things aren't set into place in stone, and like you said, they're not made into laws, and they're not set to where they have a type of validity that they cannot be changed or reversed, then we're going to end up repeating this again. And that's kind of how we've been slavery time. We have laws that help us, and then someone comes and overturn that. And I have my own personal issues with Constitution anyway. I don't understand why we have to be considered anyway. We're people. People are people. There's no law set in place for anybody else outside of people of color. So, I feel like, certain laws in regards to those things needs to be changed anyway, and not having laws set in place where you have to distinguish, people of color versus, people anyway. That alone, the fact that there's laws in place alone lets you know that there's a difference somewhere. So, I think, like
Mhm.
you say, once these laws, if they're not laws, then they can be overturned. But at the end of the day, why should there be, basically, why should it be a law if we're all human? But I do understand the country I live in that we need for it to be a law in order for it to have any validity and stick in the first place. And I'm glad she brought up systematic racism because that's one of the topics that we're talking about tonight. And I had and I pride myself on being an intellectual, but I did have to do like a little bit more research, to get this more in depth to understanding, the parameters around systematic racism. I understand, the surface of it, what I've been taught my whole life, and what I've experienced being, a person of color myself. But just to understanding the roots of it is what I wanted to understand, and just I don't know how far back, this has been put into our society where we understood it, but we're not making a change about it. And W. Du Bois was one of my great admirers who spoke upon that often, often. It was always part of his platform whenever he spoke about something in our society. And I do think systematic racism is something that we need and we're gonna have to address. But I'll let you go ahead and talk about that first because I know you definitely an educated black brother that loves to talk about systematic racism.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah,
Go
definitely
ahead,
what
B.
she when she we're talking about changes, anything that's not considered a law can be overturned. And a perfect example of that would be during COVID, us with the mask. Now, originally, it wasn't a law or an order for you to wear a mask. You know what I mean? It was left up to your personal judgment to walk around with a mask. Correct. And then we saw this shift
Correct.
come, and now, when you walk into stores, you have signs posted on the door that say, "Hey, look, listen, it's an ordinance, it's a law. You cannot come into this establishment unless you're wearing a mask." So then you start to see the changes of people automatically having those masks on when they're walking into these establishments. Because if you remember at first, it wasn't a law. It wasn't, it was up to your personal choice to be able to wear the mask. But I think that's one of the things that's kind of helped um, curb the whole COVID-19 thing is putting that law on it, putting that fire behind it. Because if you don't put the fire behind it, then it could go either way. You know what I mean? So I definitely agree with what she was saying. As you know, with the executive order, it definitely needs to be set in stone as a law. So hopefully that's what we're working towards. That's what we got to get nailed down. And I think if we can do that, then we got a foot in the right direction. We could be able to get a grasp on this thing, because we've been dealing with this thing, over and over, year after year after year. Um, so it's definitely time to see the change,
Yeah.
and hopefully we can be a part of that. And with this administration, hopefully we can see those changes, live and in the flesh.
Yeah. And one of the good things, that I am proud and I'm excited and I'm hopeful about it, with this particular administration, is that the diversity of it. Just the fact that they are open to, and they're willing, and they're making movements to make sure that our political party right now looks like America, because that's actually one of the things that has always stemmed, systematic racism in America, is that everything from, let's say, from school, education, religion, your family, politics, everything has been separated to where it looks like it's dominant in one area. And I was born in 1974. When I was born, that's how America already looked. And now I'm fast forward to 2021. That's still how America looks. So one of the things that is going to have to take effect to eliminate systematic racism is that we have to change the face of how America looks. And I don't mean just change the face of how America looks by adding, people that looks like us into these positions, but are not willing to actually change what's happening in these particular areas of our life, whether it's politics, whether it's the way we're educated. We look at our school books; it's still predominantly just whites. And I'm glad you're on, Lance, because I was going to reference what you said. We talked about on last show. Last talked about how in our education
No.
system, how everything that we learn is predominantly white. So in order to actually change systematic racism, we have to actually begin to incorporate the things that are factual, the things that are evident, and the things that are very substance for us as Black people, and start putting that into our school system. Start teaching our kids about all of the people of color who have done amazing things. Start teaching people, not only our kids, but start teaching some adults about all the things that have, and all the contributions that have been made from people of color since America has established. And until we start understanding that and realizing that and being okay with that, then it will be very hard to start touching on breaking down systematic racism, because systematic racism is in every area of our life. You can't pick an area of our life that doesn't involve that. Like I said, school, politics, your work, your religion, everything that we've touched has been embedded in that type of mindset. So we have to first,
Mm.
first once now I'm glad that they're even talking
Right.
about it as much and as loud as they are, because that has to be the first thing. It has to be understood that it is real, because some people don't even
Yeah.
think it's real. So until we start understanding that it's real, and that that it is part of our
Yeah.
culture, and not in a way that we like, it's part of our culture, but it is what it is. But it's part of our culture, and it needs to be changed. So I think Go ahead, Lance. We were talking about systematic racism, and one of the things that he
Hello,
was talking
everybody.
about in President Biden on heat, but President Biden was talking when he did the executive orders, and that was one of the things that he spoke about throughout his campaign, and that he's working on, um, trying to help break down. So how do you think that will affect us, Lance, moving forward? Do you think it will actually be a positive thing, and will it actually be something that would transpire?
I I feel like it'd be it's a positive idea and a positive thought. But when it comes to racism, even though you do have some minorities who are racist or who do might have insults to say about white people, racism really is not something that we can do. It's something that white people gonna have to end. White people have to end that. And the reason why I say that is because when you have prejudice and racism. You only can do that when you have power. Only when you're able to dictate and control other people's lives or control the amount of success. That's what you have racism with power. Power to keep a people down. We don't have that power. So in order for systematic racism to go away, it's going to take Biden, but it's going to take the rest of white America too. You know what I'm saying? He opened the door as far as let's do this. Let's take it full on instead of us acting like it doesn't exist. Let's acknowledge it exists and let's take it on full fledged. Now it's going to take the rest of white America to get on with the program. You're going to have to weed out some of the ones like your neighbor, that person you go to church with every day. You're going to have to weed that out in order to clear out systematic racism. Corporations are going to have to weed out their foundations. They're going to have to check their own interests. Is the interest for the people or the interest for us? Because even if the interest for us and we think money, it can still come out and look this certain type of way. So it's going to take a group effort as far as the whole country to be like, all right, let's do this. But I think Trump being in office has showed us all that it's a very, very lot of them who are against that agenda completely. So, I mean, it's a good idea. I think it's a positive idea. You know, how far it's going to go, I don't know. If that makes sense to y'all.
Yeah, so good point.
Oh yeah, I definitely understand that. And one thing I know I have learned now in my adult years, and understanding the world I live in and the country I live in and the politics and how things work. Um, there's a word that was used during this previous campaign that I realized equates to anything that deals with minorities or people of color trying to progress or I won't say assimilate because I hate using that word, but progress or just trying to balance or become equal, and that's the word radical.
Yeah.
And I realized that, and I was like, but dang, I kept using that word. And then I went back to, to other things, and I was reading I was looking at a documentary, and they were talking about how, when Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or anybody that of color began to speak up or began to talk about, they would begin to use the word radical. He's a radical, he's a radical. But I do think, in order for us to change systematic racism in this country, we would have to make some radical moves. And radical doesn't necessarily mean violent. Radical doesn't necessarily mean, destructive. And radical doesn't necessarily mean to break down or tear down. But radical in the sense of doing things that are bold, doing things that are different, and doing things that would actually make effective change in our
community. We need a damn
revolution. Racism. And I want to ask
we
you
need
guys,
a revolution. We need a revolution. Fuck that.
I do agree with that. I do agree with that in my own way.
Straight up, bro.
As long as Martin
Hey, Lance.
What do you?
You was thinking that in your head, B. White.
Hey,
go ahead.
Hey.
I'm just saying that's what we need, man. Like, if Biden really want to put his money where his mouth is, this is the chance to where it's like, now you can dissect the black people in America's real issues, and instead of being able to point it out and try to put policies in place, how about you point it out and start putting money where it needs to be? In my opinion, you know what I'm saying? Because crime only is a result of no opportunity. Okay. When you have no opportunity, you lead to crime. Let's put the money in opportunity and put opportunity where it's at, and then see if we still have crime. You get what I'm saying? But to change that attitude, you're going to have to put dollars there, because they can talk about it all day, but until you put the money to give the legs for a change, it ain't going to be a change. And we got to make that change. That's why I said we got revolution now. We got to make him do this.
Hey, and I definitely want to chime in and see if the listeners are listening and see if they catch this. I saw a quote. I want to say I saw it might have been YouTube or something, but and it goes in line to what Lance was saying is, putting the money where it needs to be. They will approve you a loan for 150,000 to go to school. You go in there, you know what I mean. You say, hey, I want to get this. It could be 150,000. They approve it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Majority of the time, they're gonna approve it. But if you go in the bank and you say, listen, I'm trying to start this business. I
Or get
need
this
help
house.
with getting things together. Get get a house, correct? I need help, getting the initial capital up to be able to start this business. I plan on doing doing this, all these things, and this is what I need. I need a loan for 10 grand.
Yeah.
A lot of times, you're not gonna get approved. You know what I
They're gonna hit
mean?
your ass with
And
that
it just
hell no. That sorry, sir, we can't do this. That's what they're gonna hit you with. But if you want that
so
car note, you good. You want to finance a car, you can
so
get that loan though.
Yeah, so I want to definitely put that out to the viewers who are looking at this right now, and I definitely want to get their opinion in the comments on that process, why they think it's that way, how we can change that, and I think that goes right in line with what he was talking about. Put the money where it needs to be.
Hey, I agree with all
It's
that.
funny you brought that up, B, because I think I was looking at when I was researching on. I learned that and this is within Georgia, the average household income for a white person is between 171,000, and the average household income for a person of color is 21,000. So that alone should show you the difference in the what's going on in our economic system. The average white person lives in a house that's worth between 200 and 300 to 400,000, and the person of color average lives in a household between the average of 50,000 to maybe 100,000. So that alone should show you the breakdown, the difference. And I'm just talking about in Georgia. We're not even talking about in America. So you can imagine what's happening in in cities and states that are even low poverty in Georgia. What's going on? So yeah, that
I can
definitely
add
has
on
to
to
set
that.
in place, like for us things that we're getting as mortgage loans, car loans, anything that we need as people of color to actually build a better life for ourselves. Those barriers and those breakdowns have to be taken away in order to at least give everybody an equal chance. Not saying it's going to happen today or tomorrow, but those are the things that are going to have to be put into place that's going to make that change. It's not going to happen without it. And I don't, we have to figure out how to get a good revolution going. That's safe
Like, look,
for
the
everybody
good thing is
in
this.
the world.
A
This is where you find this is
peaceful
where you find
revolution.
this is where you found out the raw though. The fact that we got Joe Biden in office now, right? And he's in there for the next 4 years, as we know, could be longer, but he in there for the next 4 years, right? So with this being said, with 4 years and with the money that he's claiming that he can help the economy with what we going on, if this ain't the perfect time for him to get money and provide it for certain areas in neighborhoods that can be for students to work or give students the proper tools to be able to advance like they need to advance, like
Yeah.
STEM cell programs. It's time to put the money behind teaching these young kids STEM cell programs, how to do this stuff. The money needs to be funded right now. The school systems that have been closed, like on the south side of Chicago, he needs to do something with that. It's too many kids that ain't going to school because there's no school. They closed the schools down. Literally. Before a pandemic, the school was closed down. So in order for this to work, we're going to need dollars put directly in the black communities to where the black children benefit from it first. And we got to also pay attention to this. I wanted to add on what you said,
And we
Akina. What's even when it comes to housing, as a black person trying to sell a house, once you're found out that you're a black owner, your house depreciates. It goes down. People want to get offer you less for your house because you're a black owner, and that's going on across America. And it's been going on for a long time. Your house can be worth 1.3 million, but because you black, they offer you 500,000, maybe even less.
oh yeah,
That's
definitely.
systematic
And we have a
racism.
comment from
All that has
Uncle
to
Harmony
change.
Reigns, and
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That is true. She says schooling will keep you in debt. Starting a business will bring you income. They don't want us making that. They only want us struggling. And that is true. And we've
You want
known
to know
that.
why?
We've known that from the very beginning, and that has been the precedents for systematic racism. It was set in place, by elite whites to make sure that we as people of color struggle. It was put in place to make sure that we were never equal to them. Although, in the creator's eyes, we are equal, but in our
You
government, in our economic system, that was exactly the point. And you're correct, Harmony. It was always put in place to make us struggle. My point is,
can
right
I
now
add on to
we
that?
have someone who in office that seems to. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to make the point that she it's a great point, and I wanted to just add this to what her comment is. I feel like the reason why things are the way they are, with us in particular in this country, blacks, with gaining control and power, because if they keep us under a certain cap and under a certain financial umbrella, then not only will we not be able to say something and have something to stand on it. When you have money, you have power. And when you have money and power, you have a voice. You get what I'm saying? If a majority of black people was in economic powership, that's too many of us having a voice.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? Now, when we look at foreigners and immigrants that come to America and they're able to get these grants, they're able to get these loans, they're able to transfer their credit from certain countries to American credit as equal. They get all these opportunities because they're allowed to make more money than us because as long as they're not from here, you can make the money, but the minute you start trying to use your voice as a power, we can always shut you down. We can always send you home. We can always find a way to get rid of you. But as far as being black in America, if we make enough money and we get a power and we get a voice, where we gonna go? They can't threaten us to send us nowhere. They can't take our citizenship. So the best they can do is keep our power low, so our voices can only be so low. You get what I'm saying? Because if we all have money on the regular, we all come together, it'd be over. But as long as we divided and broken up, we can't move like a unit.
Okay. And I agree with that. So let me ask you guys, um, in having a stage that we have set now, that will, to help us be able to have some type of leg or direction to be able to move as people of color. What do you think that we as, as individuals need to actually do in our own communities? And I know Lance, and you too, Brandon. Y'all are big on talking about, bringing our back dollars into our community. Making sure that we help and support one another. What do you think that we can share with the village? Let them know some of the things that we need to start thinking about to put in place to make sure that we in our own communities, not just in the White House or in the politics, what do we need to start doing in our own community to start making sure that we are using our voice? We are moving, and we are not just using our voice. We are taking action to set things in place so that when these 4 years come, that we have something set that we have started to make sure that we no longer lose our voice in this community.
Go ahead. I'm gonna let you go ahead and speak first, B, and hope people leave some comments and get in on that.
Okay, good question. Definitely a good question, Hakeem. What I want to start by saying, it was a time where uh, we owned a lot of property, meaning land. And
Mhm.
in my opinion,
Yes.
I can't remember the name of the group. It was a group of people down in South Georgia. They acquired, was it, it's like 80 or 90 acres of land down there? Is that
Mm-hmm.
correct? Was it 80 or 90 somewhere in there?
Yeah. Freedom, Georgia. They call it
Uh,
Freedom,
the
Georgia.
f- First thing, Freedom, Georgia, exactly. The first thing we need to do is exactly what they just did. Us get together and just a whole gang of land. And what that entails is what that produces is the opportunity to be able to do whatever you want to do with that land and that property. And that includes building schools, a bank, a hospital, a grocery store, all these things. That is the first and foremost thing I feel like we need to do, and that's exactly what they did. So I definitely want to see more of that, and I think that's where we need to get to, and seeing them doing that was exactly what we need. We need more of that. They purchased 90 acres of land, but that land you can do whatever you want. You can build housing. You can do so many different things with it. So many things with it, and especially in the time now, being able to have that property, that deed to that property,
Shit,
is more valuable than everything.
you
So I
basically can
think that's
start
what
up
we
your
need.
own society.
That's what we need. Right, right, right. And you
It's
create
basically,
that. You create that headquarters. I think that's exactly what we need to do. That's my opinion. My opinion.
yeah.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
I definitely agree with that. And Arthur Hamney Rand said we have to get out of the crab barrel mentality, and I agree with that. And that goes along with what you're saying, Brandy. That we have to start thinking, how do we create our own? So I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, Lance. But that's a great comment, Miss Randy. I do agree with that.
I mean, he basically hit it all on the head. I mean, only thing I can say add to that is as far as in the now, as in like tomorrow, I feel like resources, man. We really need resources. The community can come together with each other with resources and dollars. And what I can say, okay, like right now we're about to have like a food crisis. I'm hearing that's the rumor. We're about to have it's about to be kind of weird and messed up. I'm not sure if y'all heard Bill Gates just bought all the most of the biggest farmland in America. But this brings me to my point. We need to start teaching our children how to grow their own food and agriculture and basic economics. The money that we can do within our own community, it's a whole bunch of lots all on the south side of Atlanta that's taking up space that ain't doing nothing but having yards and trash in there. And those can be land let's purchase and turn into a garden for children to
Hmm.
actually learn how to do things like sustain life and know the basic survival skills. Teachers are able to teach them. We can give them the resources, the greenhouses. They can learn the fundamentals of growing and flowering and science and getting involved with creating and growing. We can do that now. We can put money and start cleaning up our communities and taking vacant lots and start turning them into village platforms. We can call it our village platform. This right here, this area is going to be for this. This area can be used for this. We can work something out with the aldermen in the neighborhood, see if it's something where the community can purchase it or put a lease on it to where if it's vacant and making some type of property tax on it. We can have donations from people who got construction companies or private housing companies come build a foundation to like that's something we can do now. You got teachers and assistants, kids, students fresh out of college who want
Yeah.
to teach that. They can volunteer. You can get people who have businesses that done it and volunteer, donate materials. This is something that the community can start doing as of now. Like next week, people can start rallying up this. You know, start taking back the vacant land before corporations come and put parking lots there. That can be a whole market.
Yeah. I
Absolutely.
love that idea. I love that. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. And it's my real name. Let's see here. Let's see here.
Oh
She
yeah, and it
said
helps the kids to
Black
eat
people
healthier.
specifically lack capital, both financially and yeah. And the stage of politics is key. You actually hit the nail on the head. That is exactly true. Exactly. And going on what you're saying, Lance, she's absolutely right. We lack capital. We lack the substance and things that we need to actually set something in place to create longevity. Right now, I'm all
Because
about
we
building
lack
a
that.
legacy. That's my thing. That's the
Yeah,
mindset I'm focusing on right now.
black people have no capital because black people have no
Go
generational
ahead,
wealth.
Lance.
Black people have no capital because black people have no generational
Exactly.
wealth. Most of your millionaires who are millionaires are self-made millionaires. Their parents was broke. Their grandparents didn't graduate high school. Nobody in their family graduated college but them. So a lot of the
Hmm.
millionaires that we have today are millionaires who was broke. We need to. That's the thing. Like that goes back to the point I was trying to make as far as why Biden's in office. A lot of this stuff needs to be reversed, and I'm not looking for no handout. But a lot of Well, we slacking on the race is because of the government. The government held us while everybody moved forward and kept holding us while everybody got forward. Now we in this fast forward time period, and it seems like we ain't been on our shit. You know what I'm saying? We ain't had nothing. Every time we had something, we either went to jail, got arrested, or they took it from us. They found a way to confiscate it, find a way to infiltrate it, or whatever. So while Biden's in office now, this is the time to where, like, dude, you need to really focus on the spotlight on the black communities and putting that money back and giving us our head start. Like you said earlier, all black people should be an opportunity to where you should get if you got a full-time job and you're working 40 hours and it's two of y'all in the household, y'all should be able to get a house. You should be able to get approved for a house if you come up down payment. You feel me? Or your credit should be at already 800. Like, this is simple shit they can do to give us a head start. You're going to have people that's going to mess it up and fuck it up.
This, because, we
Go ahead. Go ahead, King.
And that was the time, because we all are very knowledgeable about Black Wall Street, and we know that it existed at one time. Now, during those time frames, they face some of the same things that we're dealing with right now. A lack of capital, lack of financial resources. What do you think that we could have learned from them, and the fact that they, even though they had less than the resources that we have now, still somehow built Black Wall Street? They still somehow found a way to build Black hospitals, Black schools, Black businesses that thrive prior to it being destroyed. And they had far less to work with than what we do now. So what do you guys think that we have to do now as a community to be able to come together and build for us something that was once built for us before?
Shit.
Yeah. Good question.
Shop with black people like your life depended on it, because that's what they did. They was able to build an enterprise because they had no choice but to shop with black people. So if you have no choice but to get your resources from another black person, eventually that black person that you're buying from is going to expand and is going to overall help all of y'all. But as long as we continue to spend our money with whoever got what we want, that's our problem. We need to learn to start spending our money where it's necessary, not just worry about the deal we get, not just worried about the bargain we walking away from. We need to focus on where the dollar is going. Every other race and ethnicity does that. They go to where their people are and spend with their people. Point period. You can have something better than their people, and they still go find a reason to shop with their people. We don't do that. We get our nails done from every other race. We get our hair from every other race. We buy our shoes from every other country. We don't buy anything unless us. We the only race that don't be like, okay, even though I want to buy this, I'm gonna buy more of this too. We don't do that. We'll spend our money with Gucci, Prada, and everything, and don't spend no money with Sean John. It's just we have to start knowing that how important the transaction of where our dollar is going matters, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? You got to want to spend with black. You got to say, you know what? I'm spending this with a black company. All I know is spending it with black. I don't trust it if it ain't coming from black. I don't want it if it ain't coming from black. You ain't being bogus to everybody else, but what you're doing is you're setting that tone, uplifting your people to know that it's okay to stay within yours, to support yours. Because without that, you're gonna have nothing. We're gonna be out here like we are now. We buy from anybody. You can have a Chinese man frying chicken with some mild sauce and hot sauce, and you're gonna eat it. You ain't gonna have no, but let you be a black man with a Chinese restaurant, he ain't gonna come in there and buy shit from you. And you could be a top chef, and he ain't gonna spend no money with you just because you're not Chinese. But we're going to spot right now and get some fried chicken from a Chinese man and not give two shits about it, as long as it came out crispy and hard. We need to stop thinking like that. We need to go inside these stores and say, hey, who owns this? Who's the cook back there? Who came up with this menu? Okay, now I want to spend my dollar. You know what I'm saying? It sounds selfish, but look where we at in the game. If we don't get selfish now and we don't get it together now, we're going to forever be lost. So that's my answer is we need to think like the Wall Street mentality. Those people don't want our money. They're not allowing us to buy from them. So we have to buy from each other. And look what happened. They had everything they needed. So force yourselves to feel like you have to buy from the other black people, in my opinion.
Okay.
Be what?
Yeah, that's it.
That's a good answer, Brandon.
That's it. That's it. Perfect example. Master P. Master P. He's been doing it for
Yeah.
for years and
Yeah.
years here,
Yes.
and
Yes.
ne- uh, his next venture is with to be the first black creator of a high end sports sports car.
Mm.
Master P is working with a designer
Tesla. He working with an ex Tesla worker.
yeah. So they're gonna design the first black sports car. So
Negro space
this is
bro. The space
Yeah.
coupe.
this is big. This is this is big. This is one of the reasons that I look up to Master P, just
His
because of what he
Negro
does
bill.
for the community
You heard me?
in his
I'm like, it's the
community.
Negro bill. You heard me? NASCAR what? We're gonna call it the dirty. He gonna come up with his own NASCAR watch.
Yeah. So that's that's the and that's the main thing for me, man. Just seeing those examples and being able to add to those examples and follow those examples. And the more that you see that in the community, I think the more we'll be able to work towards that. Because what you see is what you manifest. So as we continue to see those examples of that, we'll continue to push towards that manifestation.
I just wish we care enough to understand the power that we
Yes.
have
Yes.
when we come together. It's a shame and it's sad because people know that we have power. They know what we're capable of doing. But the sad part is, it's like people don't care that we can do these things. It seems like their personal things is more important than actually saying, if we all came together for real, since we all know what the power of us together can do, how about we just do it? It's like we can't get past that part. We get past that part, we'll be on the right track. We'll actually be making America actually great for the first time in U.S. history.
Okay. Those are awesome answers. And they are definitely. I mean, that's exactly what we're gonna have to actually. It's the mindset, and I often say, and I hope, I don't say it to be offensive, but I say it because I really believe it in my heart. I'm very glad that I'm very glad that we had the mindset and the drive and the initiative of the people of color that we had during slavery. Because without honesty, the way we live our lives now and the mindset we have now as people of color, how we so like you say, we so conditioned that we just have what we have and we going our own stuff. I sometimes wonder, what the people of color that we live with now, what we have actually gotten out of slavery back then with the mindset that we have now. Because now we're so relaxed with the things that we have, whether it's our own personal, our car, our house, our friends, our family. We don't think about each other as a whole, as a community, as a culture, as a race. And I think, the mindset and the drive and the belief and the heart that we had, that the people of color that got us from that point to this point has changed over generations. We have gotten a little bit more comfortable. We've gotten a little bit more. I know it sounds weird, but a spoiled in our own little way with the things that we have. We don't have the same, like you say, that drive. I'm only go with my people of color. That's who I'm going to build up. That's who I'm going to invest in. That's who I'm going to
We
spend
don't
my
teach our
time
kids that.
helping to build their business so we can build it. We don't have that no more. We don't have that. We're
Yeah,
okay with
we
taking
don't
our
teach
money
our shit.
somewhere
Yeah.
else while
Yep.
saying we don't have.
And then we'll come up with an excuse why we do it. Oh, because I tried black people business. They so rude. So you had went to two places and the person was rude. So that just lets you say fuck everybody else. But look how many times you done went in the store and been followed around and you still go back to that store. How many times you been in the store and the person told you to hurry up and buy something, but you still went back to that store. But one black person have an attitude with you one time. Oh, I can't deal with black businesses. They be doing too much. We got to start having sympathy and empathy for our own people and not wait till somebody's shot by a police officer to feel that way. We need to do it while they're alive. We need to start showing gratitude to each other. If you selling something, I might not even want it or I might not even need it, but I need to just buy it just because you're doing something. You know, we need to stop criticizing each other for the unnecessary stuff. You know, we need to start uplifting. We need to take back thinking we know everything and criticizing everybody and just start uplifting and supporting whatever somebody's doing, long as it's something that ain't taken away from somebody. We need to start thinking about uplifting the next person. It starts there because you trigger that effect of positivity, you're going to automatically create it, and it's going to help people around you, and it's going to manifest. So we have to change that. I go out here thinking I can judge and I can critique and I can tell people stuff, and we have to go out here with the attitude of today. You know what? I'm going to uplift the next person. Today, I'm going to the first person that tell me they got something going on or they trying to work on something. I'm going to support it, or I'm going to give all positive love to it. We need to change how we react with each other as black people.
Yeah.
We walk around with attitudes toward each other for no reason.
Yeah. Yep.
So we got to recondition
mindset.
Recondition. Yeah. Let's start having some positive frequencies. You know what I'm saying? Rather than just I'm on my own. I'm looking out for myself. If you ain't talking money, I can't do nothing for you. If you ain't talking about no hoes, I ain't with that. We need to change all that narrative. We need to be like, yo, be white. I seen what you was doing, man. I want to say I'm proud of you, bro. Keep it up. Don't think that nobody didn't watch it because I saw you. I watched it and you love. That triggers an effect that we don't see, but it's there. Just like magnets. You see the reaction, but you can't see what it's doing, but you just know that it did something. So we need to recondition and start teaching our kids that. Go out in this world and uplift the next person because you uplifting that next person is going to benefit you for where you're trying to go. It's going to take you there. You know what I'm saying? It's going to set it up in place for you. You're going to put the frequency out there, and that frequency is going to hit you back, and it's going to take you where you're trying to go. So we just got to recondition our relationship with each other as black people. You know what I'm saying? Change that narrative. Oh, I had bad business with black people. I can't do it no more. To, you know what? I did have a few bad experiences, but I'm not going to take that out on everybody. I'm going to keep on trying because I know it's some good somewhere. Because you're going to get some great black businesses. So stop making it seem like black businesses is bad. I done been to some black-owned restaurants. It was beautiful. It was gravy. Customer service was A1. So, you know, you got shitty people everywhere, but black people need to be more considerate with their own people, just a little bit more. Have just a little bit more tolerance with your own people. Because you'll get kicked out the nail shop and your ass will be there next week. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But let one person say, this my shop. You ready to walk out. Oh, you can have this shop. Your little shop ain't shit. Your little nothing. But the person just kicked you out their whole nail shop and your ass back like it never happened. Yeah. So we got to start having a little bit more patience with our own people. You feel me? We don't have enough patience with each other. So that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
What you gonna say, B?
That's definitely just on a crucial topic, and you know that's what you said something about just spreading that positive, something that I'm all about. That's one of the things that I really stand behind, and it helps me because the more that I uplift you, I know I'm uplifting the community. So that helps. That helps me because if I say, hey, you know, Hakina, I like what you're doing. Hey, Land Streets, I like what you got going on. That's gonna give you that added positive reinforcement to say, okay, man, whatever I'm doing is a good thing, man. So I'm gonna keep doing it. You know what I mean? And that continues. That continues to trigger that
you build that relationship.
That okay. Yeah, absolutely. I can do this thing. You know what I mean? I can do this thing. And the more we continue to focus on that, that's where we'll start to see the dynamic shift. So yeah, I agree with that. I'm all about that energy, and that's what I stand behind, man. And that's the ticket. That's the ticket. That's the move.
You know what's so crazy? If you had one neighborhood and you just had one household, and let's say each household was trying to sell something, right? But each month,
Mm-hmm.
out of everybody that knows each other, everybody buys from that one house for 1 month. Then you go to the next house. The next house,
Mhm.
who is almost like how a pyramid scheme. This is how Black Wall Street did it. They supported the next business next door, and then it spread it. If everybody focused, because our dollar is so powerful, we can make millionaires overnight if we wanted to. We can get 100 people and make them millionaires overnight, and then say, "All right, next, give us the X 100 people. We're gonna make you a millionaire overnight." We can do this ourselves because the black dollar is so powerful and so relevant that we can control our own success if we just came together. It's not one business that you can't blow up. Look what they did with GameStop today. Well, the other day. Shit was fucking ridiculous. We can do that every day. We can fuck Wall Street up every day with black businesses. Black people can buy the stocks low, and then we spin that shit up to where it's sky high, and then do it for the next business, and keep doing it for the whole neighborhood, the whole everybody blown up, and we all own shares of each
I mean,
other's
but
company.
that
So
was
that's
taking
crazy.
a combination with both of you guys said. Yeah. And that would take a combination with both of you guys said. The ability to want to actually support each other. The ability to actually have you said the perfect word, patient. We have to learn to be patient with each other, and support each other, and be positive in in how we approach each other, and be positive,
Yeah,
in how we address each other. We have to actually change the whole mindset of our own culture in order to understand how we, in our own small different way. Actually, I was talking to one of my friend girls about systematic racism today. Actually, she was on earlier, Harmony Reigns, and I was telling her, we was talking about the example you brought to my attention, Lance, about the young man. And actually, he played for the Seattle Seahawks. I looked it up. The Seattle Seahawks. The football
yeah, he
player
played for a
that
few teams.
was
Yeah,
removed from his team and arrested. Yeah, because and he was arrested because he assaulted and choked his black girlfriend. He was a white player. Choked his black girlfriend for not wanting to bow down to him. And I was talking to her about that. I was talking about the problem with that is for me is how we sometimes can contribute to allowing systematic racism to begin to continue and to escalate, because sometimes in situations like that, even though he was beyond the point of wrong, what happens is sometimes women will stay in those situations with guys like that for the clout. They will stay for the fame and for the status and for the money. And what they don't understand is what you're doing is you are contributing to the mindset that this man had, that was okay. And so we have to also step back and understand when we are adding to something that is hurting us as a race, and we don't even realize it because the benefits of it outweigh the drawbacks of us actually addressing it and leaving it. Because if something happens and they get back together and she stays with that man, for whatever reason, that's going to actually in his mind vindicate what he was doing was okay, and he will
you
continue
know
that
why?
mindset on to the next and on to the next. So we
I
have to
feel
change the
like
standard
we
for ourselves. So you know what? This is not okay in so many different ways.
I, I feel like we're in a society where
Go ahead.
we became. I feel like we're in a society where we became so desperate for what we think is the best way to do things, to where we got beside ourselves to the point to where we lost integrity. We lost self-love. We have succumbed to the
Oh yeah.
idea of, as long as money's involved, everything else goes out the window. It's like money first, and then everything else is under it. We went from your integrity and your love, and then money last, to where society has flipped the script and it's do whatever for the
Yeah.
money. Even if you get your ass whooped, and even if you getting embarrassed, even if you get your teeth
No
knocked
bad.
out, even if you get dragged through the house, long as that dude has a place for you to stay, or you still can go to the nail shop, it's okay. Long as you're not doing it and being a broke bitch. Long as you doing it and getting some money, it's cool. Long as you backstab your homie and getting some money for it, that's okay. Long as you doing dirt shit like that, long as it's money involved, it's cool. When did we start giving passes on that? So when you talk about her being with her, being with somebody, you dealing with a society where people are going to be like, "Oh, she's stupid for leaving him." What? You could have got beat up by a broke dude and went through the same thing, but he got you in it. We are succumbed to. We lost our value. We lost value over money. We put money first. We put money over everything, and that's a problem. And that slogan is a bad slogan. Money over everything. It shouldn't be that. Because when you have money over everything, that means you're willing to degrade yourself. You're willing to deprive yourself. You're willing to hurt somebody. You're willing to go that extra step that's unnecessary in order to obtain this because it's money over everything. You know what I'm saying? So until we reteach our children that fuck money, it's about how you carry yourself, your characteristics. It's about the vibes you give off, and it's about the positivity that you bring. We're gonna continue having this new generation of I will get my ass whipped as long as he's the bad. I will continue to get cheated on by this woman as long as she keeps paying for my video games. I can get talked to any type of way. I can get treated. It's on both sides. It's not just a male, female. It's both. So we need to start learning how to value ourselves and put money in the back and put integrity up front again. You know what I'm saying? Because you will succumb to anything. You got some people who stick with somebody who on drugs 'cause they can supply. You dealing with somebody who giving you drugs and you killing yourself, but you stuck in that cipher because you devalue yourself to where you think it's okay. He loved me. When he punched me, that means he really cared.
Yeah.
You didn't convince yourself that abuse shows love.
Yeah. So you guys, do you guys know? Do y'all agree the fact that sometimes we as people of color would allow certain levels of systematic racism to happen to us as long as we are financially
Fuck yeah! Look at Steve Harvey.
Taken care of, or long as you don't, okay.
Look at Steve how he responded to Monique. Okay. The way I'm just saying, the way Steve Harvey responded to Monique. The way his whole answer to her was fucked up. Like, you basically told her, when you dealing with this much money, learn how to sit back and be grateful for what you got. Don't rock the boat. That's what he basically told her on national TV. You rocking the boat and you making it bad for everybody. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what he said. And when you just said what you said, that's what systematic racism being accepted by black men. I got my check. These white folks. Dude, go, man. I'm on the thing. Hello? Sorry about that, my kids. But it just shows that his money's taken care of. He got what he needs taken care of. He got his money. He's fine. You know what I'm saying? Just like they said, Michael Jordan told another basketball player, you would be as great as me, and you are as good as me, but you don't know how to play the game. And he wasn't talking about basketball. So you got a lot of people that once they get their bag, racism doesn't exist anymore. You get what I'm saying? I got my money. Okay. And I don't see racism.
Agree? Disagree?
Hey, I'm gonna say this. Yeah. I'm gonna say it like this.
Do you agree, B. White?
Yeah, I got this, and Arthur Harmony Reigns. One word. Recondition. Recondition.
Absolutely.
I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that narrative. Just.
Well, I got a question for you, Hakeem.
It starts in the mind.
I got a question for you. It's a little off subject, but as a black mother, what can you do with young black males starting off as a child to get them prepared for this new world?
True.
Can you hear me? Did you hear my question? Hello? Are you there? Can you hear me? Like we having some technical difficulty. What do we tell our young black men, all these young black boys? What do we tell them in this new world?
One more time.
What do we tell young black men growing up in this world now? What do we tell them to do? What do we start? Did you hear me? B-White, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Did you get the question?
She might just she might just be having some technical difficulties on her end.
Did you get the question?
Yeah, I think she should
She
come
got to
back
log back in.
in. She probably yeah, she's probably having some technical difficulties. But and when going on what you
Basically,
were saying,
what do we tell our young children, our young black men growing coming in this world today, man? What do we tell them, bro?
and that's an interesting question. And right now, man, the main thing you tell them is to and what you said, what we talked about earlier, recondition your mind. Like you need to be uplifting you need to be uplifting your sister, your queens. You need to be uplifting them because that changes the dynamic of this. That's why we having all this killing and robbing and all that stuff, man. That stuff like that's what's pulling us down. So we got to get back into the mindset and narrative of uplifting your brother. You know what I mean? Uplift him. If he if he need help with something and it's in your means, help him out. You know what I mean? If you your sister, you know what I mean? We got to uplift the queens the same way. If they need help with something and it's in your means, help them out. You know what I mean? We got to change the narrative of this I hate and I got to change that narrative because that's why we losing so many individuals now. We done lost countless young black men this last year just to murder. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So we
already
got to
this
stop
year.
that and change that narrative and recondition our mindset and move forward from there. And Hakina, you
How
back
do we
online with us?
re?
Can you hear
Yeah,
us?
Y'all hear me now?
yes. How can you?
Yeah,
How
we
do we
hear you.
recondition? How do we start the recondition process? That's the question to you. How do we start to the young black men, young
I
black
understand.
women? How do we start the recondition?
I think it's very fortunate to be on with you guys because y'all are very outspoken, and B does what I do with young men. What he does what I do with young girls with young men, and that's like I love to mentor and coach and deal with young girls over grown adults. Not saying that I don't do both, but it's because they still are in a place where they're open to learning. And you ask me, what can we do? We're gonna have to change our mindset. And when you have, people of our age and older, we have conditioned our mind to be the way that it has been so long. We're not open to change. We're not open to saying, what I
Mm,
thought was okay really wasn't okay. What I thought
yeah,
I
you're right.
knew, it wasn't right. And when you become an adult, we're very close off to wanting to change the mindset that we live in. When you deal with young black men and young black women, they're still at an age to be teachable. What we're saying back, in sports, they're still coachable. They know the SCA to be, to be um able to show things that we as young adults refuse to see because for us to see as grown adults doesn't mean that everything that we thought was right that our mom and dad or our grandmama or big daddy told us might not have been right. So, I think in order for us to actually begin to move forward in anything that we do, it has to start with a mindset. Dick Gregory was one of my favorite speakers. I love him. Listen to Dick Gregory talk, and what he said in one of his speeches, it was State of the Union.
Hold on.
He
I'm
said,
listening to you.
"Ghetto is a mindset. It's not a location. It's not a neighborhood. It's not a community. Being ghetto is a mindset. You can live in $1 million mansion, or you can live homeless on the street, and you can still have a ghetto mindset.
Give me one
So I
second,
think
Doc.
until we begin to shift our mindset and how we talk to each other, how we view each other, how we think about each other, as people of color. You spoke about it earlier. We'll go to a black-owned business and they will give us one or two bad experiences, and we will cut them off. We will go on social media and we will dog them to the heights of dogtivity. That's not a word. It's my word. But then we would go to somewhere like McDonald's, or we would go to another nail shop, or we would go to another business that's not black owned, and we would get poor service. We would get just talk to any kind of way, and we would still allow ourselves to go back to that person because of whatever our mindset that we have conditioned ourselves that that's okay to do. And instead of having that same mindset within our own community, we choose to want to just kind of assimilate to what we feel about blacks too. Like we don't realize that. We talk about how, we're looked at as people of color and how we're treated as people of color, but we don't understand in our own little small way, we treat each other based off those same stigmas as well without even understanding it. So, it has to be a shift in just how we think, period. And stop thinking about, material things and money, and we have to start thinking about humanity. Our whole mindset has to as a shift to think about people as a whole, as humanity. That's what's called, in my understanding, that's what God is calling for anyway on this country. For us to step back and look at each other as people, not as property, not as material things, not as something that we can just do what we want to do with each other. We are all human. We're all part of the same collective of God's creation. So until we start changing our mindset on how we treat each other, how we view each other, how we respond and react to each other, then no, it'll be very hard to shift any type of racism, whether it's systematic racism, whether it's personal racism, whether it's global racism, whether it's American racism. It'll be very hard to shift any type of movement until we shift our mindset and how we look at things and look at each other. That's kind of what I'm looking at right now, and kind of actually what I'm working towards. I want to be a part of the change. I'm trying to find all people that want to change what's going on, and those are my people. Those are my people, the people who actually want to do the work and changing the mindsets of what's going on in our country, what's going on in our households, what's going on in our families, and begin to see each other as people. Again, it's one of the things that Biden talked about, on his speech when the night of the election, they were still doing results. He said it's time for us to begin to look at each other as human beings again. And that's what we're lacking, and that's what we're missing, in our country, to be able to look at each other as human beings again. Before I froze, I heard y'all talking about, money, and how we will shift our whole integrity. We will shift our whole morals and principles and values depending on the particular amount of money we can gain from that situation. That's a problem. That's a problem. So, I think, in our communities, that's something that we need to understand and lose that mindset. Because we have no problem doing to each other what slave masters did to slave owners for the right price. We'll sell each other out for the right price. So how is that any different than when the slave owners sold us off for the right price? How is that any different? So, it's our mindset and how
My
we begin to
apologies.
understand and believe things to be. And because of that, that's how we treat each other. So,
Yeah, absolutely right.
what you think,
That's
V?
it. You said it. It's changing the mindset,
Oh,
and
we
it's
lost
everything is a
Lynn.
state of mind. Yeah, everything is a state of mind, and once you change that mindset, then you begin to switch the narrative, and then like I like to always tell people, nothing in life is 100%. Nobody's perfect. No, no process is perfect. So
No.
if you go to that business, they might have just had a bad day. It might have just been a bad couple minutes that they had in dealing with you. I always tell people allow room for error.
Hold on.
Allow
How about this?
room.
You just gave me an idea. How about us, and we can give our viewers this opportunity too, and we can see our progress next week when we come back. But us three, let's start the pledge along with our guests, people that end up watching this. Let's make the pledge that we will shop black this week, at least 2 or 3 times this week. Shop black. I don't care if it's out to eat at a black restaurant. I don't care if it's a black clothing store. Whatever you think you got to go out and get as a necessity, let's make it our way to make sure we go get it from a black-owned place. Let's set the tone. Let's set that
Yeah.
challenge. And when I do it, if I remember when I'm
Yeah.
doing it, I'll take a picture of the establishment so I can let people know this is black owned. Come check it out. Let's start putting our we gonna walk it like we talk it. We say that
Sure.
we're gonna start the reset. We're gonna show
I
that we're
love
gonna go out here looking for black business. Let's do it. And I heard Ti actually has an app. I don't know the name of the app, but I heard he has an app that him and Killer Mike worked on. I'm not sure if it's out yet, but I'm gonna look it up. It's supposed to let you know all the black owned businesses in your neighborhood, in your area. So I'm gonna check that
it.
out. But
I love it.
let's do it.
Yeah, I'll take that pledge. I'll
Well,
take that
guys, it
pledge.
has been an awesome show. Exactly. Definitely. And next Thursday we're gonna post them and let everybody know, the ones that we've learned and the ones that we've experienced. And just give positive feedback. In order for us to actually build and rebuild, I want to say, because like I said, this has been done before. We actually have a visual. We actually have a historical understanding that we as Black people have owned our own before. It's not like it's something that
Yeah.
we're trying to start to do from scratch. It's not like it's something that has been impossible, it's never been done. We have an historical understanding of what has been done by us for us before. We
Mm-hmm.
just have to come to a point to where we really want this, like you said, do we really want it? Do we really want to have things that represent us and that looks like us? And not saying that that it doesn't mean that what the things that we have are not important. It just that means that being able to put together things that look like how America looks, and that everybody feels like they are part of the country that they live in. So, this has been an awesome show, guys. Like awesome show. And we thank you all so much for
So
tuning
let's
in.
do it.
Check us out every Thursday. We're here. We will be moving to 8 o'clock starting next Thursday. But definitely tune in. Give us your feedback. If you have any topics that you want to talk about, anything that's in your heart, on your mind, on your spirit that you want to be put out there, that you think that we need to be heard in our community, let us know. We will gladly talk about it for you and with you. So, thank you for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you next week. We got my co-host Brandon, my co-host Lance, and my Kingdom Michelle. Follow us on
Yes,
Facebook,
yes, yes.
Twitter, Instagram. Yeah. So yeah. So until next week, we love you, villagers, and thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you,
Peace
thank you.
out.
Holla, thank you guys. All right, we good.
Not that everything moves so slow on my end.
My bad, y'all, for getting there late,
No, it's
man.
all
Y'all